All right, big news for the Seminoles today as they land a commitment from a four-star wide receiver, position of need. They add to that room, and their already really good 2025 recruiting class gets even that much better. Their blue chip ratio is through the roof, and this is one that went down to the last minute, and Florida State was able to pull it out. Let's talk about it. Daylan McCutcheon, a wide receiver out of Texas. He's 5'11", 175 pounds, goes to Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas. Again, a four-star wide receiver in the 2025 class. And listen, he's a top 100 player on the On3 industry. He's a top 100 player on the 247 composite as well. Ranked number 79 overall on On3, and there's really good unity on all four sites. Rivals, ESPN, 247, and On3. He's a four-star everywhere. Runs an 11.54 in the 100, ran that last year. 22.57 in the 200, also competes in the long jump. As a junior, Daylan had 92 receptions for just over 1,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. A true playmaker coming in for the Noles. Had an official visit that last weekend of June. You know how Florida State likes to very much stack that big weekend. They've seen a lot of success. They've gotten a lot of commits from it, and this one just adds to it. Florida State was trending pretty heavily going into that visit, and then coming out of that visit over the last few weeks or whatever, USC and Texas were heavily involved as well, and a lot of people thought USC was going to be able to pull it out here. We'll talk a little bit more about why people thought that in just a moment. But all in all, a really big pickup for the Noles. I already have Wiley in that room, but you certainly wanted to take 2 or 3 wide receivers in this cycle. And so it's a big deal to have gotten another commit from a top 100 player. You've got 2 wide receivers now committed that are both top 100 overall players, not just at their position. They're like top 10 or so at their position, but you've got another top 100 overall athlete. And so a really big pickup for Ron Dugans, Mike Norvell, Alex Atkins, and this staff. I think when you look at McCutcheon, you look at his game, you look at his film, he's really versatile. He can do a lot of things very well. Really good ball skills. He certainly seeks out the ball. He comes back to the ball a lot, as you'll see in his huddle film. Good breaking in and out of routes. He moves very solidly. I think he is very natural with it. I think running track obviously helps that. Being a long jump helps that. Like, just his movements are super natural. Plus hands, I think he does a good job catching the ball. Not really a ton of issues there. I don't think he's just a true burner. I don't think he's a true deep threat every play, going to burn the heck out of the secondary, but he moves well enough. Like, he's quick enough, good quickness. Again, his fluidity, the way that he moves is pretty impressive, and that kind of keeps it all kind of very natural, kind of moving in one direction. Like, he's very good there, and he's quick enough. I'm certainly not calling him slow. Runs track, competes very well at a high level there. But ultimately, like, when I wrote out all those notes, when I listed out everything about him, he looks like what you would want a top 100 player to look like. He looks like one of the best 100 athletes in the country, and it's hard to obviously rank, how good is a offensive lineman versus a wide receiver versus a cornerback versus a QB, but when you look at where he's ranked around the top 10 or 12 in wide receivers overall, I think that's kind of what you would expect. I think he's kind of right there in line with, man, this kid's really good. This kid's got a lot of ability. He does a great job moving. He has good hands. He's got good quickness, got pretty good size. I think Florida State absolutely hit a home run here. There's a reason that USC was so heavily involved, and why, even a school like Texas was pretty involved as well. Anytime you beat out a school like USC or you beat out a school like Texas, you know that NIL is a factor. And it was well reported that NIL was a massive factor here. And so, as always, we have the battles in quarter zip on. We are repping that today. This was a battle that you went out and you chose to win. And you had to fight, and you had to be very competitive in the NIL space, but Florida State's not in the business of just overpaying. Florida State's just not in the business of, hey, we're going to pay you more than any college out there. I think Florida State truly does value what they bring to you as a player, what they can do for your potential pro career, the fact that you're going to win a lot of games, the fact that Tallahassee is a very attractive place to go and play, the fact that in an offense with Mike Norvell calling things, you're going to get a lot of reps and targets and action and stats and everything else. And at the end of the day, win a lot of games and prepare yourself for the next level. And so, I don't think that Florida State just goes out and we're just going to beat everybody with NIL offers. That said, they are very, very competitive. And I think that, when you look at what it's rumored that USC was offering, what it's rumored that Texas has in their kind of NIL war chest, and you see Florida State winning battles there, you can look at that one of two ways. Either they're winning that battle with NIL, or they're winning that battle by being competitive with NIL and offering all those other things too. Wins, development, a great offense for a wide receiver to play in, a quarterback in Luke Kromenhoek and Brock Glenn of the future that you're going to, hopefully, have a lot of pretty on-target balls and have a lot of success there. And so however you want to look at that, whatever you think the answer is, right? Like you hate NIL or you love NIL, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're having to be competitive there. And the Battle's End certainly gives you a chance to do that. We try to ask you all the time, if you're not signed up, if you're not part of the Battle's End, certainly consider doing that. But a great get by them, a great get by Ron Dugans and Coach Norvell. I mean, Coach Atkins involved, really everybody on the offensive side involved when you get a big commit like this. But now you look at Coach Dugans' room and you look at what's in there now, a lot of young, unproven talent. It needs to get there, even going back a couple of years to Hakeem and Destin and others that are in that room. But then last year's wide receiver haul with Gibson and Fryer and Moore and others. And now you add to that two top 10-ish, 12-ish wide receivers in this class, two really highly sought after, highly rated 4 stars, two top 100 players overall. And you say, man, that room is starting to really, really stack talent. They're not, they're just, this is no offense to anybody who committed here in the past, but they're not necessarily just taking like project guys that are like mid-level 3 stars. They're really starting to stack talent on itself. So you're not only raising the ceiling of that room, but you're also raising the floor. You've got more guys that are more dependable. You've got more options at that number 1 spot. You've got more options, to honestly just give you a better overall product out there at wide receiver. We've talked a lot about what we think the wide receiver room could and might look like this year. And, we've got some questions. We've rated all of the positions on Florida State's team, and I don't necessarily know that wide receiver is going to be a strength for the Noles. It's certainly the biggest question mark that I have. And so what do you do there? There's not a lot you can do in mid-July for your upcoming 2024 year, but you can certainly start to stack talent for the future. And I think that is what Florida State's doing. And so credit Mike Norvell, credit for Ron Dugans, credit for the staff, obviously the Battle's End and stuff that helps you pull stuff like this off. But you can't, again, do a lot about improving that wide receiver room. You have to kind of trust what you've got and work on development and try and put guys in the best position possible to help you succeed. But what you can do is you can continue to get better at that position group where you may have some question marks. And you've got a lot of talent in that room now, and you need to get Wiley and you need to get McCutcheon to sign. But if you do, you've got a ton of talent in that room. You think about what that room could look like next year with Elijah Moore and CJ Wiley and Hakeem Williams and Destin Hill. Like, you're starting to really build that out, right? And where are those guys along in their development? Obviously, all of that matters too. But you're starting to think, man, that wide receiver room is one of the better ones that is certainly on our schedule, certainly in our conference, certainly in our state. And then what does it look like going forward? So all in all, a really good day for Florida State. They're not anywhere close to done. There are more announcements coming. There are more commits coming. We didn't do an ad in this video, so if you want more info on any of that, you can go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/DFNS. It'll get you into our Discord, which we are celebrating and talking about this right now in there. If you need anything, any more information, you can obviously shoot us a comment down below. Let us know how you're feeling about this big pickup for the Seminoles. Listen, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything coming forward. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Go Noles.